The thing that invalidated you when you were younger will be the same thing you seek validation from as an adult. Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO. Welcome back to my podcast, Life Interrupted. My name is Janelle. Thanks for watching this episode. So, I started to think about the amount of people walking around with childhood wounds and the lies they consumed that they now internalize as their truth. They repeat patterns of behavior as if they're still in survival mode, and it's on display for everyone to see. In this episode, I'm going to discuss the importance of telling yourself the truth about your childhood so your subconscious thoughts don't turn into unhealthy patterns of behavior. Let's get started. I'm going to break down common behavioral patterns we exhibit in adulthood that stem from emotional disconnection. And it's important to note that the greatest cost to a child is that they learn to disconnect from themselves in order to stay connected to others. However, the behavior no longer serves the same purpose in adulthood as it did in childhood. It has the opposite effect. If we tell ourselves the truth, I truly believe it can dismantle a lot of unhealthy relationships, dismantle negative self-perception, promote self-worth and value, and it can create a new story that suits who you are truly meant to be. For me personally, I thought I figured out most things that impacted me in childhood that I carried over into adult years. But can I tell you, listening to Steven's podcast that he posted 5 years ago helped me to put something into perspective. I dated someone for a short period of time, but it was one of those relationships where you feel like you've known the person for a long time, it felt comfortable, it was good, but things just didn't work out. However, I still had hope. So even though he was a nice guy, I couldn't figure out why I wanted this relationship in particular to work out so much. And after listening to the Diary of a CEO, Steven said he searched his childhood for anything that could hinder him as an adult. And his thing was money. He told his story of growing up poor and how he became obsessed with money at the age of 14. He then said he started to make money maybe around the age of 21 or 22. He spent around $60,000 on alcohol, partying at a nightclub, trying to impress people. I don't know if that was just in one night or if that was in an entire year, but he said he had to face his truth, and so did I. As uncomfortable as this is to say out loud, I realized I was never taken care of. And of course, my mom took care of me, she raised me, but if I search my life, I'm that person that's always doing for others and helping others. I sacrificed my own needs, my own wants, just to make sure everyone around me was taken care of. And now that I'm doing the work on myself, I realize that I want to let my hair down. I want to be a passenger princess. And of course, it's in my nature to help others and to make sure that my loved ones are taken care of, but it's no longer going to be at my expense. And if I go back to the relationship, I wanted things to work out because I was actually able to let my hair down and be a passenger princess, even if it was for a brief period of time. And I didn't want to lose that. How many of you guys can relate to this? It's like, you hold on to this relationship because the behavior is something you never experienced before. And even though you know the person isn't right for you or it's just not the right time, you make excuses for the things you don't like because they are fulfilling something positive you never experienced. Telling yourself the truth requires grounding, sensitivity, exploration, acceptance, and grief. I'm not trying to say telling yourself the truth is easy, but once you do, as the saying goes, it will eventually set you free. So what do I mean when I say tell yourself the truth? Well, I mean exactly that. Tell yourself what happened in childhood, if you can remember. This is easier said than done because it requires you to acknowledge a lot of hard truths. Did you receive emotional safety? Did you feel seen and understood and protected? Did you experience love from your parents? Were you the scapegoat in your family? Was your mom and dad an alcoholic? Were you abandoned by one or both of your parents? Was your parent a narcissist or did they ever berate you? Were you bullied or abused? Some of you might have a hard time acknowledging these truths because you truly believe you're over it. I know I did. Before I started to do the work, I barely scratched the surface. And I left my emotions somewhere in a box in the corner over there because I intellectualized everything. I didn't realize that acknowledging my emotions would set me free. Some of my former clients often said, "It happened in the past. I'm over it. Why bring it up? It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't bother me. I could literally laugh it off now." They are subconsciously avoiding the truth, and I'm not judging anyone because I was there. The behavior that helped them survive the past is now negatively impacting their present. Janelle, why do I have a hard time saying no? Why do I have a hard time making decisions? Why do I freeze anytime my partner tells me they want to talk? Why do I get so anxious when my spouse drinks? Why can't I tell my mom to back off when she makes fun of my weight? You didn't just wake up one day at the age of 25, 35, 45, or 55 being afraid to say no. Anxiety over your spouse's drinking didn't just appear. Somewhere in your mind, there is a beginning, and the beginning is where you start when you want to tell yourself the truth. If not, you're going to sit in self-blame, shame, anxiety, fear, doubt, and judgment. The main reason people don't want to tell themselves the truth, from my experience, is fear. Fear of what they'll uncover. Fear of having to actually address the issue. Fear of losing a relationship, or fear of dealing with their own emotions. So many people believe they can't handle their emotions, so they bury them. Avoidance becomes the best line of defense. Why? Because you're already disconnected. This is a very common pattern some adults exhibit in their relationships. And to be fair, some of us don't realize we're avoiding because the behavior is so ingrained in us. That was me to a T. Ask yourself these questions. Are you comfortable expressing your feelings if a situation comes up with a family member, coworker, or friends? Do you get angry when someone is trying to get to know you? You might accuse them of wanting to be all up in your business. Do you avoid conflict and discomfort because you worry about a rupture in your relationship? Do you ask everyone how they're doing, but when it comes to you, "I'm fine," and then you change the topic? Do you get uncomfortable or angry when someone else talks about their emotions or how you made them feel? Think back to childhood or adolescence. You probably had to numb your emotions to make your environment more bearable. Perhaps you were told emotions equal weakness, and you had to learn how to suppress them because they got you into trouble. You might have been told, "Why are you crying? What's wrong with you?" Essentially, you were made to believe that something was wrong with you for feeling. You learned that expressing feelings can lead to rejection, conflict, punishment, or even being ignored. Many adults who suppressed emotions as children can tell you what they think, but not necessarily how they feel. A lot of these adults are very logical and they express their emotions as thoughts. Some adults feel numb or disconnected from themselves. They struggle to identify emotions beyond fine, stressed, or angry, and they have difficulty recognizing their needs and desires. It's important to remember your emotions don't just disappear because you choose to avoid them. They're piling up beside you, and one wrong move, they topple all over you. And this can look like panic attacks, worry, overthinking, rumination, and feeling on edge. Your nervous system may continue scanning the environment for signs of danger, even when no imminent danger exists. Another common behavioral pattern that stems from childhood that many adults engage in is people pleasing. I've had so many clients tell me, "Oh, I'm just a people pleaser. That's just my nature." What? Pardon me? So your nature is abandoning your true wants, needs, and desires in order to keep the peace? Your true nature is not speaking up when someone hurts you because you don't want them to be mad at you? Girl or boy, that's not your true nature. That's survival 101. Being a people pleaser is part of a trauma response known as fawning. It's our way of coping when our brain detects danger. Fawn types seek safety by merging with the wishes, needs, and demands of others. They act as if the price of admission into any relationship is the forfeiture of all of their needs and rights, preferences, and boundaries. You won't always notice that you're fawning because you see yourself as being helpful and easygoing, and someone who's empathetic and can get along with anyone. However, you don't realize that your trauma response is being activated, and you don't want to cause trouble for fear of angering or upsetting another person. And you don't know how you feel because you cater to the needs of others. Does any of this sound like you? Think about it. If a child learns that their feelings don't matter, they can become highly attuned to everyone else's feelings. For example, if you grew up with an abusive alcoholic parent, your brain detects danger the minute you are in the same vicinity of that parent. Your stress hormone is activated and your body is preparing you to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. You are in survival mode. And as a fawn, you may cater to the abusive parent by trying to make them happy so they don't rage against you. You may clean the house before they get home, you have dinner prepared for them, and then you seek shelter somewhere secluded because you don't have emotional or physical safety and no source of protection. You quickly learn that your needs and wants are insignificant. And the more you protest your parents' abuse, the likelihood it will lead to retaliation. You adapt to your environment and you become subservient to the abuser. And as a child, you're trying to maintain connection in an unsafe environment. As an adult, you may say yes when you mean no, prioritize others' needs over your own, fear disappointing people, and struggle to advocate for yourself. As an adult, you turn your anger inward for not speaking up or saying no. You might secretly resent the person who asked you for a favor. You might become passive-aggressive and then you feel guilty afterward. To get to the truth, you have to peel away the onion. It's not just about what happened to you. It's about what didn't happen to you, meaning you never had an opportunity to learn how to self-regulate, develop a strong sense of identity and self-esteem. You never learned how to play. You never learned how to, let's say, fall and get back up without being ashamed or being shamed. You never learned that it's okay to make mistakes and not be perfect. You never learned people will accept you for you. You never learned how to be social and make friends. You never learned that people who love you aren't abusive manipulators. And you never learned that it's okay to disagree without losing the other person's love. And the list can go on. These are just a few examples of what you missed out on because you were trying to survive chaos. And if you think about it from the lens of an adult, I bet you'll be a little bit more compassionate towards yourself the closer you get to the truth. The truth is, you are psychologically stunted and you miss years of psychological and emotional development. I previously mentioned that it's not just about what happened to you, but I also want to let you guys know that it's also about what happened to your parents when they were kids. And no, before you guys get started, this is not about making excuses for their behavior, but it's about seeing them as a human being and recognizing that their lack of love, their lack of care and nurturance, and their lack of emotional stability existed long before you came into the picture. It had nothing to do with you, but you were impacted. It wasn't your fault when your dad left the family. It wasn't your fault when your mom raged at you when she returned home from work. It wasn't your fault when your mom competed with you for your dad's attention growing up. It wasn't your fault that you were punished for everyone else's mistakes. For an adult to do this to a child, they most likely experienced the same treatment growing up. And when you take away the title of mom and dad, and you see the human being standing in front of you, they are fractured human beings who probably never received the love they desired. They were probably abused, abandoned, neglected, and experienced emotional deprivation. When you acknowledge this, it will help you to create distance between you and the lie that was created about you by your family that you now internalize as the truth. At your core, you believe, I'm not enough, I won't be accepted, I'm unlovable. If they really knew me, they wouldn't like me. I'm hard to love. I'm selfish. I'm a problem. If we peel back the onion even further, we realize that people-pleasing stems from fear and avoidance. You fear the outcome if you don't comply, and you avoid your emotions. Because of this, you experience the inability to make decisions, perfectionism, procrastination, being a workaholic, substance misuse, emotional immaturity, and the list goes on. Peel the onion back even further, and there awaits fear of rejection, abandonment, wanting acceptance, and love. Remember, as a child, you still relied on your parent for food, clothes, and shelter. For you to receive the basic necessity and to comply, you had to shut down emotionally and merge with the wishes and desires of your caretaker. The truth is, you are deprived as a child, and as an adult, you are reenacting behavior as if you don't have power over your own life. That's right, you have power. Another truth is, you are no longer that scared little child or adolescent that needed their caregiver within arm's reach to survive. You are now paying the bills. You are putting the roof over your head, you're buying your own clothes, and you're putting food on the table. You have the ability to say no despite the evil eye your parent still gives you. You can close the door, you can hang up the phone, or you can completely cut them out of your life. It's your choice. Another truth is, in my experience, it starts at the root. Until you face the origin of your unhealthy pattern of behavior, you will continue to keep the cycle on repeat. You have a hard time pouring into yourself, and you feel guilty for going back on your word or taking care of yourself. Why? Because your mom still has power over you. She has power over you to make you feel guilty for not including her in your plans for what you want to do for yourself. She calls you selfish because you booked a spa day for yourself without including her. It starts with mom. It will be difficult to make headway if you're afraid to address your mom. The truth is, you fear her rejection and you still want her approval. You continue to swallow the lies she made up about you. And until you face your emotions that surface when you interact with your mom, nothing is going to change. And until you start to question her inaccuracy of her truth regarding you, nothing will change. Until you ask yourself why a mother would treat her daughter this way, nothing will change. And until you take away the title of mom and see her for who she really is, she will continue to make you beg for her approval, love, and acceptance. You will continue to feel small and give her all of your power. Not to mention, you take her abuse, but then you redirect your rage towards someone who actually loves and cares about you. I promise I'm not ganging up on moms, okay? But the mother wound is very prevalent as well as the father wound. As a kid, your emotions were probably so intense and overwhelming that shutting down was the safest thing for you to do. You didn't have anyone to express yourself to, so you bottled up all your emotions in your little body and it turned into anger, rage, anxiety, borderline PD, or depression, just to name a few mental health challenges. There are so many layers to filter through. As I previously mentioned, telling the truth isn't easy, and you might feel guilt, shame, anxiety, and fear for questioning their truth about you. In most cases, our parents did the best that they could with the knowledge and resources they had. I'm not trying to vilify your parents. I'm trying to help you see the truth and how it relates to your current behavior as an adult. The lies you tell yourself doesn't benefit anyone. It keeps you mentally and emotionally stuck. It prevents you from having fulfilling relationships and experiences because you're limiting yourself. Your self-perception is stuck in a false narrative that was never even created by you. It was created by a toxic family environment. When you tell yourself the truth, you're taking the blame and shame off the child and putting it where it belongs. You are allowing others to take responsibility for how you were treated. After all, you were just a kid. It's time to mourn the loss of your childhood due to growing up in an unhealthy environment. Some people may feel uncomfortable grieving the loss of their childhood or grieving the loss of a family unit they never had an opportunity to experience. This type of grief is seen as unconventional and may not be publicly acknowledged, and that's completely okay. Joining a peer support group can definitely help to normalize your experience. I want you guys to take something away from this video, okay? The problem wasn't that you had emotions. The problem was that your environment taught you that you weren't safe to express them. What protected you as a child is preventing you from fully knowing yourself as an adult. The survival message is, if I want love, acceptance, or safety, I need to hide parts of who I am. Trust me, you no longer have to do that. Don't miss out on people and opportunities that will truly embrace your entire existence once you do. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Do me a favor. If you enjoyed this podcast, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and share button, and I will see you guys next week. Bye for now.